Rule number one of DJing, according to me, know more about what you're doing than your audience does. Some people will hear that and they'll get it. They'll resonate with them. They'll say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Other people may have other ideas or opinions, and that's fine. But what I'm trying to say is, you don't have to know everything about DJing. You don't have to fear that somebody in the audience knows more about the computer you're using than you do, because that's very possible, right? Think of it like this. The person who invented Microsoft Word doesn't know more about writing novels than Stephen King does. Does that make sense? It doesn't mean you can't learn from your audience. They may teach you things. They may turn you on to new music. But in general, you should probably know more about music than your audience does. Think about if you hired a DJ to play a party that you're having, and it was obvious that they didn't understand the audience very well at all. They didn't know music very well. They didn't understand their sound system. They were blinding people with their light show, and you knew that there was a better way to use the fixtures that they had available to them. You'd be upset about that. I mean, think about going to a party where you've seen a DJ who just wasn't pulling it off. I mean, unless you're just being ultra critical of their performance. Sometimes you go to a party and they're just not moving the audience. They don't connect with the audience, and you're thinking to yourself, man, that DJ isn't very good. Don't ever be that DJ. Know more about what you're doing, you specifically are doing, than your audience knows. Now, the reason I know some people aren't going to understand this is because I did make this post on Facebook and I got some feedback. I think most people kind of get it, but some people had different ideas, and that's okay. Again, these are my ideas and mine only. First comment. Unless your audience is a bunch of DJs, then most of you all know about the same thing. I don't know if this person's been to a DJ conference, but I can tell you that every DJ has their own strengths and weaknesses. And we are artists, by the way. So you know, this is not an exact science. There's an art to this. And as an artist, you're doing what you do, and it's not what the other guy is doing. Or you shouldn't be doing what the other guy is doing. Otherwise, you're just emulating. Do you, and know more about what you're doing than the other DJs do. I did one job. The groom's father was an audio engineer. I didn't know more about sound than him. No, you can't know more about how to build a speaker or about how sound waves work than an audio engineer does, but you probably can understand what your sound objectives are that evening better than they initially do. They may not know what you're trying to achieve. They may not know that you're trying to keep a hot spot on the dance floor, conversation areas, and other places in the room. That may not occur to them right away. They may not have thought of using the system that you're using for the audience that you have in front of you, or the benefits it may have. It doesn't mean that you know more than the audio engineer. You just know more about your objectives that evening, initially, than they do. You can have a conversation about it, and you can learn from the audio engineer. But yeah, that's not what I'm talking about here. First rule of anything, in my opinion, 10 minutes early is an hour too late. Okay, well, yeah, punctuality is important, but I don't know that that would be my rule number one in stepping into the field in general. Crowd reading is much more important than beat matching. Yeah, I think that's probably true. Oh, and that is in reply to rule one, learn to beat match by ear. Again, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I'm thinking about this, logically, and so you should know how to beat mix before you really know your music and keys and what audiences respond well to and different styles of mixing. I think those may be higher up on the priority list for a lot of us. But you know what? Again, we all have our own objectives here. We all have our own ideas, and that's okay. Was looking at treadmills the other day and knew way more than the sales guy did about them. That's what I'm talking about. That was annoying, right? You go in there and you're looking for help on something and you know more than they do? That's a drag. It's a bummer. You're thinking to yourself, why are you here? You don't even know the basics of this stuff. That doesn't mean you couldn't learn anything from this person. Maybe they knew something you didn't know, but according to this message, and I can see how this is possible, they may not have. It's a drag. Don't be that guy. As a DJ, don't be that guy or girl. Let's see. Um, there were other ones here, but those were the big ones. Somebody says, I have well over 35 years experience as a DJ and sound and lighting engineer. It's highly unlikely anyone in the audience will know more about what I do than I do, but I'm always willing to learn more if someone can teach me something new. One would have to be quite arrogant to think they know everything or more than anyone else. I do like to keep ahead of the competition, so I spend a lot of time researching and updating my knowledge. Yeah, that's reasonable. My camera says I have a minute left, so I have to wrap this video, but thank you so much for watching. Let me know, what's your number one rule as a DJ? Put it down here in the comments section. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you for tuning in and your likes and comments and subscriptions and whatever else you do when you come to a YouTube channel. Thank you so much for that. We'll see you next time. Practice and enjoy.